We're confused. That's how we're gonna start. James is reading the reviews of this movie that we watched, and we're confused. I will save my thoughts for when we're recording.
Rushed. Way too much singing.
Oh, that's just boo-hoo.
Oh my goodness.
People really didn't like it?
People did not like it. People really didn't like it.
Hey, you in the chat, Hannah, person who's read the book. Did you like it, or did you not like it?
Did you watch it? I don't know if you did or didn't. People are notably
People hate it.
not happy about this movie.
We're gonna save our thoughts, but I'm just curious because I did not read the book. I did not.
Weak execution and unexpected musical vibes. What, did you accidentally go see fucking whatever the fuck that movie is that's a musical that no one knew was a musical? What the fuck is that fucking movie?
Mean Girls?
No.
Oh, Joker 2?
Joker 2?
Dude, what the fuck is it? Some French shit? Folio
Do?
Yeah. I watched it in theaters. Okay, what did you think?
Disappointment.
I'm genuinely curious as we're like waiting for people to drift in here with this 5 minutes of witty banter, not to steal GT Live.
Plot. What? These people did not. This installment is the weakest in the series. No,
okay.
The first of the split movies is the weakest of the series.
All of this needs to hold on. Green Girl, you haven't watched a single Hunger Games?
That's okay.
I don't know. It's a cultural.
What is happening over
Aries opened the door, so I closed it again so that we can be loud and not wake up the child.
It is a cultural phenomenon.
Like, it's such a huge.
But here's the thing about these movies. They're based in the young adult novels.
True.
And Green Gorilla was a whole entire grown adult with a child when the novels were popular.
So are a lot of people. My mom was, and she loves the Hunger Games. She loved them.
Your mom had a Peter Pan complex, and she never did grow up.
I felt like the trilogy, it was too tame on screen and should have been more violent to accurately represent the book.
They could never in a million years be as violent as the books are, because then you can't have PG-13.
Or then you end up in a situation like 13 Reasons Why on Netflix, and then they have to cut that scene out.
Yeah, the problem with redoing books, especially because books don't have an MPAA, you can just write whatever. When you're making art in writing form, you can be as visceral and gruesome as you so choose. Stephen King's made a fucking career out of it. What you can't do when you're making movies
is put the child orgy.
You can't put the child orgy in, and you can't be as egregious as the source material in the novel is, specifically because parents are giant fuck babies, and they are so mad about everything all the time, specifically the mothers from the 50s, because that's where we got the MPAA from.
And yet we have parents who are just letting their children watch Has Been Hotel.
I didn't say all parents were the same.
True.
It's like Mothers Against Drugs or whatever the fuck. Super unnecessary, makes everything worse for everyone. It's like the worst adults are the people who think they're doing something righteous and end up making everything worse for everyone. There's a lot of those. Anyways.
It's going to be a very carefully worded episode.
Maybe from you. I don't give a fuck. The MPAA, because I'm just bitching about the motion pictures, whatever the fuck.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
They specifically have made it. It used to be much worse, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be much worse.
Or was it Goonies exist?
Well, here's the thing. I think if you're going to have an MPAA, it needs to evolve as the culture evolves. And we evolved from letting children just see insane shit to realizing that it's damaging to those children to see insane shit. And now we've realigned what can and cannot be seen in PG versus PG-13 versus R versus X.
I watched The Matrix way too young.
Yes. And, there's only so much that the MPAA can do, and I'm not saying we should empower them to do more, but there's only so much that they can do. They're just recommendations. But I think if you're going to have that sort of rating system, it does need to evolve with the culture, and it does need to grow. You cannot make Goonies in 2024 and have it be a PG movie. That's not a thing you can do. It's an R-rated movie. They say a bunch of swears, they say a couple slurs, and it's just in general a fucking awful movie. And
there's a penis on a lot of the screen for a long
Goonies,
time.
not good. First of all, I don't fucking like that movie. It's everyone else's favorite fucking classic, and it makes me upset that it was made.
It was one of the first movies I made him watch.
Yeah, fucking Twilight was better than that.
Anyways.
We're coming in hot. I didn't even record that. My hot take is that Twilight movies are better than Goonies.
This is why the people show up to the lives, though, for the witty banter at the beginning, not to, again, steal from GT Live.
We can't say we have witty banter. We just have cold takes. This isn't the witty banter section on YouTube. This is the cold takes section.
Alrighty, here we go. It's already getting hot in here.
Yeah, the door's shut.
Physically and figuratively.
Blade at like 12? Yeah, that's wild. Fucking Blade.
Alright.
Orgy of violence.
Here we go. First thing people might hear is that sigh that James just let out.
Doubt it.
At the beat. I don't know, it made the little Mikey thingy tick.
You're so technically proficient.
Listen, I make this show run. Have I fixed the issues that I created over here yet? No. But I will. I get stream to run, and I do all the tech shit.
Sometimes I think you're like a mechanic who doesn't know what they're doing with the car, and you just like shout obscenities at the computer until it does what you want, and then you're like, I make it run.
I installed our graphics card, if you remember. You got angry and frustrated and ran away.
I'm just very impatient. Can I do it? Probably. Did I have the patience to do it? No. Lord, no.
There is a lot of cursing at the computer sometimes. But I think I figured out how to fix it for next time. I just need to, like, have enough time to do that.
Sure. We don't have time. We have an infant.
No. So this works for now. It works.
The infant's asleep, which is why we get to make this show.
So yeah, we watched a Hunger Games, a Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes today. Yeah. Well, part of it today. Part of it the other day.
We watched the first 20 minutes like a week ago.
Yeah.
As we tried to make the show and we just didn't. We couldn't make it work.
Yeah. But I have notes from the first half, and then I was on child duty for most of I have notes for those first 20 minutes. And then I was on child duty for the second one, but I have a really good memory, so I can work our way through this.
They made the movie for $100 million.
So, this is a prequel to the original. What do you call it when it's 4 movies? It's not a trilogy. Series. The original series of the Hunger Games movies, which follows the 74th and 75th Hunger Games.
You know what? It's better rated than both Mockingjay movies. Probably because the Mockingjay movies were fucking bad.
And
hey, the first 2 were great.
And this is the 10th Hunger Games, is it in this movie, is what we start out as?
Yes, 10th annual Hunger Games, as they are dying out in popularity and in desperate need of some juice.
Some revamp, some rebranding, if you will.
The marketing department doesn't exist.
Does now.
Yeah, and his name is Coriolanus Snow. And for a moment, I told you his name was Coriolanus.
I thought it was...
And you said there's no way.
I thought it was Coriolanus. That's how I thought you always said it.
It's spelled Coriolanus. And it is pronounced Coriolanus. it could not be more on the nose that your protagonist for this movie is just an asshole.
Maybe that's why they keep calling him Corey.
Choreo?
Choreo, yeah.
Like he's gonna break out into some fucking choreography, then it would be a musical. Eat shit, reviewers.
I did like how this movie started, because it doesn't actually start even with the Hunger Games or anything. It actually starts 3 years after the war, which was cool to see, because we hear a lot about the war and everything that happened, or the rebellion, I guess, in the original trilogy or the series, but we don't get to like know very much about it, because Katniss doesn't know it, because it was so long ago. No one actually like really knows anything, because by that point,
when you live in a fascist autocracy, you don't actually get to know the truth of anything.
No, the history is written by the victors. Anyways, so we don't get to really see or know very much about it, but to see the devastation that had occurred, even in the capital, was
bad.
It was bad, but it was cool to see. It was nice to get some perspective and some background on that, that I didn't know we were going to get, and we hadn't had before in this universe. So I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed kind of seeing the destruction, because it really puts things in perspective. Because again, when you hear about it, you're like, okay, is it like Gilead levels of bad? Like where things were just kind of destroyed and then some areas were saved or what have you? And it was like, no, it was bad for like...
It was bad for
fucking everybody. So, and then we
cut to the present, which
is we get a title card for part 1 of this movie, and this happened.
Oh yeah, we break it up.
This is a new thing that's like happening, and I don't know why. Everything Everywhere All at Once is another one that pops into mind that did it recently. But like, why are we breaking movies into like parts? Why is this a new thing that we're doing? I don't like it. It feels weird. It feels like I don't know what we're trying to do with it either. I don't understand the purpose or the point.
Now, we didn't read the book, so it could be that these were like
the parts in the book.
I wonder if they were specific chapter titles in the book, maybe, or if the book was broken up into chunks instead of chapters.
I mean, it is like the chunks of his life, because you have like
it's literally the chapter book points of Snow's life.
Yeah.
Up to a certain point. So I don't know if there's like it's not like they're breaking up the movie into multiple movies.
No,
they're breaking up
sections.
It's like you just get
movie.
It's like here's part 1 of the movie, and it's
titled this, and it's this
and
portion.
Then after like 30 minutes of movie, you get title card number 2.
Part 2, and then part 3, which was, I do remember the title of part 3 because that was Peacekeeper.
Yeah. So I think because this is a deep dive into Snow and his character and why he is the way he is, it's probably specifically there to keep you on track with him, especially because they're going to introduce you to a shitload of other characters, and there's a ton of fan service.
There's so many name drops.
And there's so many little Easter eggs, I'll say, of like, here's interesting things that tie this to the future movies, which were made previously, that I think adding these title cards, I'm going to disagree with you and say that they're actually good, because the title cards bring you back to focus. When you start from this narrow point with the title card and you go out and out and out and up and up and up, and taking in all this detail and all these characters and all the dialogue and trying to pay attention to every single thing, and it's really hard, and you finally get to a point where your segment ends, and then you go, oh, and then it refocuses you right back down to Snow and no one else.
That's fair. I guess from a movie making artistic perspective like that, it works.
It's how the art works, America.
I guess I don't want this to become a thing that like everybody does, because like I said, it's enough now that I've seen like 2 or 3 that we've done recently that we viewed recently, because we didn't do everything everywhere all at once, but that we have seen recently, that I'm starting to like notice this trend, and I I don't want it to happen unless there's a purpose behind it.
Everything Everywhere All at Once won an Academy Award, so I feel like it doesn't matter.
Well, that one I felt like there was a purpose to it. There was an artistic purpose because that like kind of like you were just talking about, that almost needed the title cards to just be all like, here's what we're talking about in this section. Here's what we're focusing on in this section, because that movie is a lot. But okay. I can let it go with your reasoning. I just, like I said, I don't want to start seeing like every fucking movie that comes out to be like part 1, part 2, part 3.
All right, well, don't watch Tarantino.
Got it.
He does that shit religiously.
But yeah, and you kind of mentioned something that I want to touch on really quickly. I really like movies and things like this where you find out the origins. I like prequels. I like when we go back and I can trace things. My favorite book in the Narnia series is A Magician's Nephew for that reason, because you find out how the lamppost came to be in the wood and where the White Witch comes from and all this stuff. And so like with this, I really liked going, oh, here's how we get from point A to the 74th Hunger Games with Katniss. So I really enjoyed a lot of this movie just because I can sit there and I go, oh, I know what that is. Oh, I know who that is. Oh, that eventually will turn into this. And Tigress will eventually help Katniss take down Snow, and like weird little things like that that are, if you didn't watch the original movies or read the original books, would go right over your head. But if you have, then
sometimes even if you watch the movies and read the books, it goes over your head anyway.
Yeah, there are a bunch of name drops. I know there are a bunch of name drops because they made them very obvious that they were dropping a name of someone that was in the, or would eventually lead to something in the original series. And I was like, I know that name. That name's really familiar.
Who? What?
And I still went, I don't remember who that person is, but I know that name's really familiar. So it's, yeah, I think it was really well done in a lot of aspects. But onwards and forwards. So after the little prologue, I guess, where we get to see the disaster and find out that Coriolanus's dad is dead, we get to flash forward to him in school in the capital. And it's a weird school. Their school is centered basically in this competition to have the best marks in the school to win this prize money at the end of the year.
High school for a scholarship.
Yeah. And the only way
it's your goal is to get the president's scholarship, basically.
Yeah, because that basically puts you on track to be in the government when you grow up, which is the only way to succeed in this post-apocalyptic world.
Yep.
So we find out that Corio, because that's what everyone calls him, which is gross. I hate that nickname.
Well, they could call him Anus, and they don't. So you fucking be grateful.
Can't we just call him Snow?
You'd be grateful for Corio, okay? It could have been so much worse because they named him Anus.
Also, I started to try to figure out some math a few times through this movie, because, okay.
People live unnaturally long lives.
This is the 10th Hunger Games.
Yep.
And Coriolanus Snow, President Snow, is running the 74th and 75th. And assuming, I think he's 16?
He's 18.
He's 18 in this one? It's a lot.
90 some odd years old.
Yeah.
Yeah, 93.
It's a lot. He's really old.
No. 83.
That's still really old.
Yeah. Donald Sutherland was very old.
I mean, I know that they're in the capital and they have like all this advanced medicine and blah 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 and like ways to like prolong life.
Yeah, but think about this too. Haymitch won the quarter quell, right? The 25th?
Yes.
And then he was probably somewhere between 15 and 20, right?
I mean, he has to be under 18 to be in the Hunger Games.
Okay, so he's probably between 15 and 18 to win quarter quell. And then he goes on to be a mentor looking like he's in his mid 40s, clearly 60 years old.
I mean,
50 years later.
I don't think he won the first one, did he? I thought he won the second one, the 50.
Did he? I'll fact check. You yammer about something.
Okay. So we the reason I bring this up too is because I have a note that the math does the math match, and then I'm too lazy to look right now. Because Tigress, again, who will become someone very important in the original series, even though James doesn't remember who she is,
No idea.
is Snow's cousin.
Haymitch won the 50th.
I was right.
I thought he won the first quarter.
No, he won the 50th. So that would only make him 25 years later. So that matches. But then again, Snow is ancient. And Tigress is his cousin, his older cousin. And I don't know, the math started to hurt my head, so I don't know how much that math works out or what kind of fucking drugs the Capitol has, but they're insane drugs. They're like Dumbledore magic age level of drugs.
And he won the 50th when he was 16 years old.
What I don't like about this movie, and I like a lot of things about this movie, but what I don't like about this movie is that they, in some ways, they don't try to make you like Snow. They keep Snow a bad guy. Like, they try.
Oh yeah, he's your protagonist, but he's not a good guy.
But what I don't like is that they try to make you emotionally connect with him. Like, we find out that the roses, which if you don't know the Hunger Games, this is gonna all be really confusing for you. But Snow is always about his roses, and we find out that's like a thing from his mother because she always smelled like roses. And so then he ends up using roses, like, in a lot of his stuff later on. And I just, I never asked. I never cared to understand why Snow does all the things that he does or has all the things that he has. I never really asked for that. And I don't appreciate being force-fed sentimentality for an orphan. Again, it's one of those things. I have two podcasters who always say, feel bad for the child, but not the adult, because a lot of serial killers and prolific crime people had horrific childhoods. Feel bad for the kid, not the adult. But we go to school and we find out that the Snows, while still living in the Capitol and stuff, are kind of broke as shit. Like, his sister makes him buttons out of their tiles, or his cousin.
Yes,
Tigress
cousin.
makes him buttons out of the tiles in their bathroom. And he goes to school with what would turn into the kids from Gossip Girl, basically. Like, rich assholes will always be rich assholes, no matter what world you live in. And it really does feel like this first whole chunk in the school feels like the Hunger Games meets Gossip Girl. And you have Sejanus, who's
And
basically
they're really into anus.
who's basically your Dan Humphrey of this world, because he's from the District 2, but his dad has a lot of money, and now they're in the Capitol, and so we find out that this year things have changed because the Hunger Games isn't doing so good, like James said. No one's watching it. So what they want to do is, in order to win the the Plinth Prize, the President's Prize this year, you not only had to be like the top scoring in your class, but now your tribute has to win the Hunger Games, and you're going to be their mentor.
It's not about your tribute winning the games. It's about your tribute being the most entertaining.
Yeah, you have to get people to watch.
Because they made a point. Dean Highbottom makes a point of saying, just even if you win, that may not be enough to earn you the Plinth Prize. You have to be entertaining.
Yeah, you have to get people to watch.
Which is a good ruse, because it's like, yeah, you could just hone your guy into a fucking killer, but
if no one wants to watch him.
Also, this is like, because we go backwards in time, they really have a huge leap from no mentors in the Hunger Games to what we saw in the first Hunger Games. So they have all of that space from 0 to 100 to explore in terms of what it looks like to have mentors for the first time ever. And what it looks like is dog shit.
Yeah.
It looks poor. It looks extremely poorly thought out. And it looks like politicians deeply, deeply underestimating school children.
I think that it was like, I mean, they tried to pick peers in some regard. Like they tried to pick other kids so like you can relate to the kids and like make the tributes perform basically. And also we're holding this prize money over your head because without it like you're fucked. So, I mean, it was poorly thought out, but it also I kind of liked that cuz it felt realistic. It felt
Yeah.
like they were like in a Hail Mary like what the fuck do we do? What the fuck do we do? And they're like make the children work. So, I mean, it is what it is. Um I do like that Peter Dinklage does a great job in this movie. He always plays a drunkard though.
This one, it turns out he's a drug user.
Yeah, true. A substance abuser. We will just call him Peter Dinklage always
Yeah.
plays a substance abuser. He also gives you an exposition what? An exposition in case you hadn't seen the original Hunger Games and just decided to jump in with this one.
It's a good thing this is an audio format podcast.
It seems like this whole plot to me at the beginning seems like a really weird and convoluted plot. Cuz you have like we were just talking about, you have these kids that are basically trying to become mentors to win this prize by making their tributes marketable in a games that nobody wants to watch anymore. Although I don't know how anyone got you to buy into watching the Hunger Games in the first place, but it just seems really like a convoluted plan on the game maker's part, who's insane.
There's only one game maker too.
Yeah.
It's
Game
just Gall.
Game maker's possessive. So
Yeah.
Gall. On her part. It works, but man, is it a gamble. So then we find out who every mentor is assigned to. And what we know about Snow, we don't know a lot right now.
We know he's poor.
We know he's poor.
We know he used to be not poor.
And we know that he hates District 12 because someone in District 12 killed his dad.
Yeah. And we know all his classmates think he's a piece of shit, and he thinks all his classmates are pieces of shit.
Thinks all his classmates are idiots, which he's not wrong.
Yeah.
He definitely reads as someone who knows he's the smartest person in the room.
He never trips over his laces about it. He is very tidy about all of the things he does politically. And I use that term because they're children and they're not in politics. I use that term to mean he is playing people like carefully and smartly.
They might not be in politics, but they're heading into that route.
Yeah, they're heading into that route, and he is clearly the best one.
Yeah.
Like, without question.
So we find out that Snow gets assigned this girl named
Lucy Gray.
Lucy Graybaird, who just goes by Lucy Gray, from District 12. She slips a snake down the mayor's daughter's dress on her way to the podium, sings, and then gets struck she gets struck down by a peacekeeper, sings, and then gets taken away.
It is like, the funny thing about it is, like, in the whole scene, the dean and the 24 students and the rest of the students at the school are watching the reaping, and so they're watching all the people get announced and everything
because they're getting assigned as it happens.
Yeah, because they're getting assigned their tributes live, and all the fucking other classmates are like caught up in their own tribute and like, is it gonna be easy? Is this gonna be hard? Blah blah blah.
Damn it, I got 11. Like, yeah.
And then they get to Snow, and everyone's like puts their own problems aside to see what's gonna go down because everyone hates this guy. And it's so funny because as Lucy Gray does all the crazy shit that she does, like you watch it and you're like, oh, she's fucking nuts. She
Easy
is out of her fucking mind.
And at the same breath, you go, easiest fucking assignment for Snow. She's doing all the work for you. She is marketable. She's crazy. People want to watch to see what she's going to do next. Like,
Right. But you know what his classmates are thinking? Oh, you're going to lose because your person's not capable of winning the games because it's this very one-dimensional type of person that's in this class, except for Snow, who's a very three-dimensional character. All of these people, these other mentors, they're looking at the problem one way. And their problem is how to market kids dying. And they're looking at it like the only way to market my kid is to make them win. When very specifically in the lecture, they were told that is not your goal necessarily. Like, sure, you want to win, but that's not what's going to win you your prize, right? Only Snow looks at his tribute and goes, oh, cakewalk.
he doesn't though.
Well, yeah, he thinks it's going to be a bit tricky, but he's like, it's sort of like looking at something and going, oh, I see some potential here.
But he doesn't though, because he goes to Tigress and he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this chick?
It doesn't help he's a psychopath.
He's like, I don't know, she's insane. How am I supposed to do anything with her?
He does read her specifically as touched by madness.
And Tigress goes, go be her friend. And so he does.
Tigress is like, what if you tried being a human?
What if you tried having real emotions?
What if you weren't being a psychopath for 10 minutes? And he does. He goes and tries it, and it goddamn works.
Oh, it works
almost too well.
Yeah. He ends up, so we'll get there. So he goes to greet Lucy at the train stop. And this is where we start to see that the Hunger Games that we know are not the Hunger Games that are happening.
No.
They are not on a fancy train.
They roll up in cattle cars.
Where one kid got bit by a bat. Like, they're not on a luxury freaking last meal kind of ride here. They are sacrifices. They're just cattle. It's basically like watching, at this point, the Hunger Games are basically like watching, cockfights. Like,
yeah, it's really lowbrow shit.
Like, there's no polish or anything to them.
There's no entertainment.
And so
it's just vicious and brutal.
They take the kids from the train, put them in a truck, and then dump them, literally,
into a zoo.
Into a zoo where they will be viewed at by Capitol people until the games. And they don't get fed. They don't get shelter. It's literally like a freaking zoo pen. There's like some rocks and a tree. And that's how they're stored until the games. And so this whole world that we know as the Hunger Games just didn't exist yet. And it's very Roman gladiator, like,
oh yeah,
like
that is a very apt description, is that it's very gladiatorial.
And so we learn over the course of this movie that the games that we know and love today are all because of Snow.
Yeah, because Snow is a showman.
And he knows how to manipulate the masses. It's how
he becomes president.
And it's how he keeps the districts in check until Katniss. Also, can you imagine? Katniss did everything she did on accident. She was accidentally likable, and they make a very big point of that in her series. Can you imagine Haymitch if he got Lucy as his tribute? Like, do you know how much work he could have done with her? It would have been, if we had Lucy instead of Katniss in the games that we had.
Snow is like an OG incredible mentor. Like, his competition is effectively useless. So if the bar is buried 6 feet underground, all you have to do is walk and you'll best it. And he jumps, right? Haymitch is like the cream of the crop of mentors. He doesn't set unreal expectations. He's very clear with you that you're probably going to die, but we're going to see what we can do about it anyway. And he begrudgingly gets you to do what he wants. And it is an extremely effective methodology of winning the games. He does it twice. Three times if you count the time he wins.
I really appreciate it, like I said, just because he made it very clear to Katniss, like, nobody likes you. They like you because PETA likes you. They don't actually like your ass, and so just...
You're such an annoying asshole. Oh my god.
Like, you are one of the most unlikable people, and they're very upfront about that, and I think...
You're such a piece of shit. God damn it.
And I think that's why I like the Hunger Games, like, because most of the time, female protagonists can just become really annoying and generic, but for this one, like, they're just upfront about the fact that your Katniss isn't the person to like here. Like, you root for her, but she's not likable. And so, yeah, just, I had a lot of thoughts. I'm like, man, if Haymitch had Lucy and PETA had Lucy, the whole fucking Capitol would have been up in arms. It would have been insane. But enough about that. So, Snow, which we didn't mention, had hopped along on the truck to go see
the tributes. He showed up to collect her.
Well, he showed up at the train, and then they got put in the truck and were gonna go get dumped into a zoo, and he decided the best plan would be to jump on the truck with them, and then he accidentally gets dumped in the zoo, and that's where his first really showcase of how quick his brain works and how strategic he is, and to become the mastermind that we've always known, because Snow's not an idiot. Even in the original series, he's not stupid. Like James has been saying, he's incredibly smart. And he takes this moment to hold Lucy's hand, and they're like, "What are you doing in the cage?" And he's like, "I'm here to greet my tribute. Nobody else showed up. I'm the fucking best." Now, he gets escorted out by peacekeepers and gets the riot act when he's back at school, because, like, you ain't supposed to do that. But, like, also, you didn't say that he couldn't, so, like, it's like a wag your finger moment. Like, they're like, maybe don't do that. And he just is like, all right, cool. But the game maker comes in, Gall. She comes in, played by Viola Davis. Listen. I'm not advocating for any Hunger Games here. Come in real close. Come here. I would probably watch any games she designs. Mainly because they'd be batshit insane. She's a crazy person. And it would be really entertaining to see all the games that her and Snow create together. That's all. She's freaking crazy. I love the job that was done by Viola and the character. But Gall comes in and she's like, actually, he did a good thing. Ratings are up. You, person, more. What else do you have cooking up in that brain of yours? Tell me more. Tell me. And he gives a few spurt ideas. He's like, we should be placing bets. We should be raking in money. They should be rooting for champions. How do you make people root for them? You market them. We make people feel for them and all this stuff. And she's like, write that up for me in a thing and get it to me by tomorrow. Basically, write up all your ideas in a report, get it to me by tomorrow. And then the stupid little bitch in his class is like, excuse me, ma'am, we're partners. We're partners, and we always do our school assignments together. So, like, and she just goes, like, she literally just, like, scoffs at her. And that's kind of that. And then we find out, and I might be a little bit out of order here, but I apologize. But we find out that the headmaster, who's Peter Dinklage, was originally best friends with Snow's dad. And Snow's dad is the original mind mind person? What the fuck? Creator of the original Hunger Games. It was his idea. And we find out that Peter Dinklage's character hates the Snows because of the original Hunger Games. And we also find out that Snow he knows that the Snows are poor, and he doesn't like the Snows, and he's going to pretty much do everything in his power to keep Coriolanus from winning. So we then go back to the cage,
The
zoo where the
tributes.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Your brain is fucked.
The tributes are being housed. It's because I'm trying to think about too many things out of order. So the reason we're going there is because Coriolanus and this other kid, Sejanus. I keep really wanting to make their names not have anus in them. Sejanus feels really bad because his best friend was put as a tribute as punishment by his dad. And it's his tribute from District 2. And he feels bad. And so he wants to make amends. And Coriolanus is like, well, I'm about to sneak some food to my chick to help her out. Show him that you care. Come down there with me. And he has put this idea in a bunch of people's heads to like go to the zoo and see their tributes. So they show up there with the best intentions of trying to get their tributes food. And we see another one of his classmates who has shown up to get to know her tribute.
I don't know. Oh, she's just a fucking...
She's being a bitch.
She's just an asshole. And
she's taunting her tribute with water.
It works out poorly.
We find out that Marcus, who is Sejanus's tribute, does not forgive him and hates his guts. And Lucy gives some of her food to Jessup, who
suffered a bat bite in the train car
and is not feeling well. And so they kind of start to talk about and make a plan of like, okay, here's why this is happening this way. And he's starting to kind of fill Lucy in on shit. When at that moment, the tribute that was getting taunted by Snow's classmate snaps, which I would, grabs the bottle, breaks it, stabs the freaking kid in the neck, and then gets shot by some peacekeepers. All at once. And it really, again, it's kind of a reality check because you could never shoot a tribute in the new Hunger Games because they really have to keep them alive to be killed at the proper time. And there's just so many different levels and rules that are set in place in the new Hunger Games, like as things continue, that just weren't there in the original. What were you going to say, James?
It just, I mean, watching this movie puts the original Hunger Games series in a different light. And part of, okay, so I was talking about this when we were watching the movie. This movie is really, really good for one particular reason, and it's certainly something that the people who have reviewed it on IMDb have left out. This movie puts a new frame of context on the original movies. And that context is that everything that the Hunger Games are in the future is because of what Snow experiences in this movie.
Yes.
So when people complain about it being super long, drawn out, having the ending feel rushed, it's because you're not watching a movie about the Hunger Games. You're barely watching a movie that exists in that universe. You're watching a movie about a guy lose his mind over the Hunger Games, and for the rest of his life, exerts every ounce of control he can over the thing that fucked his whole life up to begin with, to the point that I would wager that the only shred of sanity that Snow actually has in the future is based around the Hunger Games, because everything that they are in the future is based off of it needs to be entertaining. It needs to be entertaining. It's like a mantra that he's been repeating to himself over and over and over again for 70 years. It needs to be entertaining. It needs to be entertaining. Everything about the tributes is different. Everything about the mentors is different. Everything about what Flickerman does is different. The way that the tributes are effectively immortalized from the moment they're reaped to the moment they're dead. Like, they are put on a pedestal of entertainment, and it's not because of some sadistic needling at tributes. It's because Snow lost his fucking mind 70 years ago as the first tribute, or as the first mentor to have a tribute win the games, and the results of, or the repercussions of that happenstance. The 4 movies that we already had solely exist because the Hunger Games are, at that point in time, pure entertainment.
Spectacle.
It's a spectacle. And the ending of this movie actually really sums it up, because Snow gets asked at the very end of the movie, what are the Hunger Games for? And he explains to you, it's like he's predicting the future. He explains to the viewer in detail that they used to be this, and then you thought they were this, and now they're this. And that third point takes you all the way 70 years into the future to the unbridled shit show spectacle that they are then. It's the most entertaining thing in the capital. It's the most entertaining thing in Pan Am. Everyone gets breaks in their districts to watch. It has bled into the society that was carefully crafted around whip the districts into obedience via violence and strongman arguments. And now it's so infused in the society that it's this enormous entertainment and spectacle. It's like a presidential election that like
well, sorry.
That like it's all because of this guy. And it's all because of the absolute madness that he experiences in this movie. This is not a movie about the Hunger Games. This is a movie about one person's descent into madness. And it is, I would say, masterfully told, because you catch yourself time and again in the script going, oh, you're rooting for Snow. You want him to succeed. And then he does some fucked up shit. And you go, oh, fuck. They got me slipping up. They caught me tripped up over fucking having positive feelings for this motherfucker. I'm not supposed to have positive feelings about this guy. He's captain of the asshole brigade. This is terrible. It's such good storytelling to that, and that they set themselves up with it beautifully. Especially, like, never mind the books, because we haven't read this one. Especially in terms of the movies. They set themselves up beautifully by going so hard on the visuals and the aura of the games in the first 2 movies. Never mind the back 2. They don't really do games. But like that visual and the ostentatious colors and the representations and the deep dives, the parade, the deep dives into the contestants, the fact that you go on a fucking media tour, like in this Hunger Games, in this movie, they meet their tributes like 3 days before the games.
Not even that if you're not Snow, because they really...
he met her the night before. So, like, you meet your tributes kind of like the day before the games.
Yeah, 24 hours. You get to do your media talk, and then your...
And I think the media talk was like a new thing, because they did it. It was they didn't even really show it, to be honest, but it was like they just bring the contestants out one at a time to do this sort of America's Got Talent style. Here, showcase a thing on television for the people, yay, and then fuck off. And it's like everything is put into motion because of snow. The gambling is put into motion because of snow.
Having a host, having the Flickermans be hosts.
Yes, having the Flickermans be the hosts of the games is
because of snow.
Having people be able to donate to try and get their preferred candidate to win. That's because of snow. He has all these terrific, honestly, ideas on how to market the games and how to make it so that people are invested. And it's really less about how you're going to market this and more about how can you get people to care. And he just is good at that. But him being good at that comes at a price because he becomes invested in it himself. And when you get invested in something that's life or death, if it doesn't spin your way, that's real rough for you. And he's the only mentor who gets invested in it in that way, because all the other mentors, they get a little bit, little bits and pieces here and there.
Most of them are more like, I fucking lost the scholarship, like storming their way out, or like
it doesn't. You can see little seeds that get planted that will eventually lead to Katniss leading a revolution and being the mouthpiece of this rebellion.
And why it works so well against snow in particular.
And you get to see these seeds right now and right here. And like, that's a lot of there's a lot of fan service about it. But if you really get into the weeds of it and why there's so much fan service, you look at it and you go, Suzanne Collins gave herself all of the space and all of the vague loose threads to pull on to make an entire new tapestry that can homage directly to the source material that she wrote. It's kind of like this other author who shall not be named, who's much, much worse at it, actually, in every single way.
And shall not be named.
It's probably because of the mold that's growing in her apartment that is causing her slow descent into madness, which we are watching in real time, a la the Hunger Games. Now, enough shitting on the author of a miserable series of movies as they are. Let's move on to this. I want to read this book, okay? Because
you know you're missing stuff.
Clearly, if you watch the other movies and read those books, there's only so much that you can put in the movie, right? There's gotta be more in this book.
Now I want to read it. God
okay,
damn
all
it.
right. I'll go to the bookstore and we'll get the book. I'm sure I can find it. So,
find it at Walmart.
Man, oh my God.
I don't know how much more plot we'll get to.
I think we at least need to get up to Hunger Games.
Yeah, well, I was gonna summarize it because we've basically been talking about it. Kind of a lot that goes down in between there. So they feed their tributes. The next day,
Highbottom has them tour the arena.
Not yet.
Yes, that's literally the next thing.
No, because they have to go turn in their report to Gaul. Him and his...
Oh, well, him. It's him.
Yeah, him and his friend that shoved that name onto that project real fast.
Here's the thing. Here's a warning to you folks. If someone adjacent to you has a really good idea and you clearly didn't have any part of it, don't attach yourself to that. You don't want that smoke.
That's basically the whole plot of Coco.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, so him and this little bitchy bitch who was like, we do all our projects together, go to Gaul, and she's like, how could they even expect us to write this report?
And
it was so miserable. They got hurt. The person died.
Oh,
blah,
yeah, because
blah,
Arachne got killed.
And he was like, don't worry, we wrote it. And she's like, what?
We did?
And he's like,
I wrote it last night.
He's like, yeah, we wrote it last night. And she's like, well, give me the bullet points so that, like, she can pretend like she did something. And we all knew those kids in school. We all knew that one person who did no work.
Did no work on the group project.
And so they go in there, and they don't even have a chance to like do a song and dance like he helped with this shit. Gall has her number from the minute she raised her hand in class the day before.
Oh yeah, Gall knew from the beginning that Snow would do the thing and she would have nothing to do with it.
And so she's like, they go up there and
Gall's talking about all the great things that were in the essay.
Yeah, and how wonderful it was and like all this stuff. And she's like, oh, but oopsie, my assistant, stupid mistake.
The sweaty handwriting.
Lined the cage of my new genetic snake pit with the report. But it's okay, because
since you wrote it,
they
know your smell.
Yeah, they don't attack people whose scent they know. So since you wrote it, you can just reach in there and grab the report so we can go over it in detail. It was brilliant. Like I said in my short little come so close moment. I'm not saying it's good or that I'm proud of this fact, but I would love to watch a lot of the games that Gall eventually goes to design with Snow.
That's okay. That's the same energy that you have when you're like, I'm gonna watch every Saw movie. You something ain't right with your brain. Look, if I suddenly disappear, people are gonna know. You're not gonna be able to make a show where you're like, I don't know where James is. He's not home from work. Yeah, he hasn't been to work in weeks. His body parts are in 7 different states.
For legal purposes, this is all a joke. But this doesn't help my psyche, but for my case here, my favorite character in The Crucible is Abby, and I really just wanted her to get away with it. So I've been this way the whole time. Anyways, so Chick gets bit by the snakes because she obviously didn't write the thing. Gall and Snow talk about the actual report.
That chick dies, by the way.
Yeah, she's just dead. She had the flu.
Oops. Gall gets away with killing like a couple of children. But outside of the games, like killing capital kids.
And you know it's not just been them. I have a feeling a lot of people got the flu in the capital.
Oh yeah, she doesn't give a fuck.
So they talk about everything that they're implementing from Snow's thing as quickly as possible, like within the next 24 hours, which is the donations, the drones, the pretty much everything. That's everything that you could imagine them doing in 24 hours. So like the host, the drones, the donations.
It leans hard into the rest of the games look and feel slapped together.
Yeah.
And like
it doesn't help that their arena is about to get blown up.
Yeah, that does happen in the next 4 minutes of screen time. But like the games themselves truly feel like put together super last minute by people who have no idea what they're doing. And that's because they were super last minute and put together by people who didn't know what they were doing.
Even Flickerman, when he's hosting, he's like, I guess I'm the first host of the Hunger Games? Like,
yeah, like he's doing a really good job being a showman, but like he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He's like, trying his best.
He's like, what am I supposed to talk about right now?
Casting Jason Schwartzman, by the way, as the father of who will be Stanley Tucci is superb casting. Schwartzman's a good actor already, but he looks like Stanley Tucci already. You could flip him around and have Stanley Tucci play Jason Schwartzman's dad in something because they look that similar. And so it's just remarkable job casting. Really good. Now let's blow up an arena.
So they do their little media tour. Lucy sings again, which is what Snow told her to do. She gets the most donations that night. And technically in the history of the Hunger Games, because there's only been one that's doing this. And then the next day, they go to basically strategize with their tributes. Everybody goes into the arena, they get to look at it, and they're going to come up with a strategy. And while they're all in there, the rebels, I'm still not convinced, blow that shit to the ground.
Now, this arena, when we watched the first Hunger Games, it was this massive expanse, right? This enormous space, like several acres of space. This arena is like if you held the Hunger Games in the Staples Center. Okay? It's like one basketball arena worth of space. It is smaller than a football field. It is smaller than a baseball diamond. It is just a little place.
And they've been using the same arena
since they started.
every year, which they won't be doing after this year because, again, it gets blown up.
The whole thing of it is like they walk the tributes in, they stand them on dots. Peacekeepers are in the arena with them to shoot them if they jump off before they're supposed to. And then the countdown begins. As soon as the countdown ends, the peacekeepers exfil and they start murdering each other. That's literally how it goes. No showmanship. Nothing worth watching, right? You can clearly see like people want to say the plot's forced or it's uninspired. It's like, yeah, man.
That's the point.
The whole thing of it is that this whole shit is drab, uninspired, and awful. Now take the psychopath that we're breeding over here and put him in charge of all this shit, and we'll see what happens. Like, it's horrifying.
After the explosion, the president's
son
Felix dies from his wounds.
It also killed several tributes.
Yeah, we're down, not mentioning the one that got shot, we're down like 5?
I think there end up being like 19 tributes in arena at the start of the games.
Because back then they weren't protected at all.
It would have been a fucking disaster in the 75th, 76th Hunger Games if you wind up down 5 tributes 20 minutes to show start. Okay, that would have been the calamity unknown.
No, they're super protected. Like, you can't attack each other in the training thing. Like, they have, like, such strict rules because...
The peacekeepers are all over them, but they can't touch them, but they're all over them. It's...
Like, it was... there. You have to protect your assets at that point. And at that point, before they get to the arena, every single tribute is an asset to be used and made a spectacle of.
Can I talk about commentary for 5 minutes before we end the episode?
Yeah?
Because I just made this connection.
Okay.
In the original Hunger Games movies, it's really easy to watch them and go, okay, you can see how the powers that be use these spectacles to keep people passive. It's to keep people pacified. It satisfies the gruesome urges of capitalistic or of the capital maniacs.
Careful now.
What?
Nothing.
I wouldn't dare mention capitalism.
I'm not drawing parallels.
Well, to be fair, in this movie, the capital looks an awful lot like Moscow. So, I mean, it's all just Soviet bloc architecture. It's like 1980s Soviet bloc architecture. But in Hunger Games 1 and 2, it's really clear that, like, the spectacle that they've created is Snow's handwritten plan to keep the colonies in line, keep the districts passive via their fear and threat or whatever, but it's to keep the capital satiated in a way that it did not prior to his injection into the games, right?
Like he says, the games are for everybody.
Right. At the end of the movie, what his mantra is all the world's an arena. The games are to remind us who we are at a base level, which is true and nihilistic. But this movie, the games are like getting hit in the head with a bat. It's primal, it's barbaric, it's gladiatorial, but like in the worst kind of way, because the gladiators were a lot like tributes in the first 2 movies. They're protected. They have an X amount of power. It's not a lot, but they are treated. They have fans. They're treated with a certain level of care and respect because of their performance in the arena, much like the first two movies. This is like if you hadn't invented a gladiator yet and someone came up with the idea 24 hours before the next show at the arena, right? This is a barbaric look at society and how you go from a better way to control the civilized people is to entertain them with mindless drivel. You want them to be entertained. You don't want them to be disturbed or saddened by what they're watching. You want them to have fun.
We happy few it.
Exactly. In any good post-apocalyptic society, you want to keep your highest level citizens entertained. Because if you can't keep your highest level citizens entertained, your lowest level citizens will come for your throats. You need the top cogs always greased, because otherwise the rust from the bottom cogs will work its way up the machine and fuck up your whole shit. You get to watch from this movie to the first two movies someone understand how best to use the system and how best to control the populace. And it's an effective and horrifying theory. And I really, really hope we don't have to watch it take place in real life.
I was just thinking that. I was like,
Are you not entertained? That's the question right out of Ridley Scott's Gladiator. Are you not entertained? The Hunger Games. They're kind of the same. They're kind of the same.
Alrighty. Our son is self-soothing, so I'm hoping he...
If he wakes up, he just needs to go vertical.
I'm going to hand this to you just so you can watch while I do this stuff. Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. Part 1. Okay. Alrighty, everybody. I need to look at my list. I have no idea what's on this shit anymore. Sorry. That was probably annoying sound and loud. I didn't mean to ASMR you. Alright. We just watched that one. So let's see here. Your vote tonight will be... This is the stupidest way to type. You've got The Iron Giant, because James has not seen it. We still have Bring It On, because like I said, that was a request. We're going to do the BFG to round out James's Roald Dahl hatred. And then... We'll do one for me. I really should leave it like that. That's not how you spell that. Alright. Here you go. We will be right back. I need water. Really, y'all? Really? We always get deadline. All right, so we have Bring It On.
Oh, shit, stop.
Okay. All right, y'all. Why? Why? I've never had. This is the first time in CityWaves history that this has happened. I'm seeing if. Okay, I should have ended the poll if I was gonna do that, but all right. I'm assuming that's Kyle's vote. Bring It On will have its day. Who logged on and picked something? I'm ending it. We have a winner. We had 4 votes. Someone cheated. Nah. Looks like it's all Gucci. The Iron Giant. The sad, sad movie I haven't seen in a minute. I don't even know where we can stream that shit. I should look into this shit. Let's see here. I just asked him to go vote. That's all I did. There was no bribery involved. What am I looking for? Oh, Iron Giant. Gross, I'm gonna have to rent it. It's fine. It's fine. We'll make it work. James didn't go on break when he was supposed to go on break. So now we're waiting. I like the Iron Giant. What do you mean no one likes the Iron Giant? It's a classic. What are you talking about?
Screen roll being contentious again.
Yes, always. Which one's this one? Is it a new one?
It's beer flavored beer.
They're all beer flavored beer. Other than that one that you didn't like, the pecan. Oh, bleh.
At least it doesn't taste like nuts.
That one was so much better than that one. Ugh. That is the beeriest of beer. Ugh. I'm sure, guys, it holds up fantastically. I'm sure it's great. I'm sure there's no issues whatsoever. Sure, it's fine. Are you ready for part 2, babe? Where do we pick up? Because we kind of...
We pick up... Here's the thing. We went out of fucking order.
You got talkie.
Because, well, no. That's not why we went out of order. Here's the event, the way that the movie went down, because we watched this today. They go on the tour, the arena blows up, Lucy saves his ass.
Yeah, we didn't
and
talk
then
about
he
Lucy.
watches them perform that night.
Oh, yeah.
So they did the intro. It doesn't super matter, but like that was out of order.
We did.
They didn't do the media shit until after the explosions and all that.
True, because that's when she sings with the guitar.
Yeah, and then that night, Snow goes back to the arena, which we'll talk about. But yeah, we're just a little out of order. So what we need to pick up from is she saves his ass, and then do the media thing, and then Snow learning how to help her win the games.
What? There we go.
They're voiced by the same person.
All right, here we...
Groot and the Iron Giant.
No shit.
Vin Diesel, baby.
Vin Diesel voices the Iron Giant?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. The pacifier. Yeah.
The Weird Family guy?
Yeah.
All right. Anyways.
He owns 57 million white t-shirts.
Anyways.
He's got a stock in shtick razors.
All right.
I am Groot.
3, 2, 1.
What? The only thing that happened in the wave format is my sniff, okay? And I'm gonna cut that out so the audience doesn't even hear it. Fuck you. Kiss my ass. Bitching about me moving around. Tell the people that we went out of order. Tell them that we fucked it up in the last episode.
I was going to say that James would like to clear up the fact that we did go out of... Everyone's so surprised and shocked that we got something out of order in one of our podcast episodes. That's never happened ever before.
It bothers me so much when it happens. I hate being out of order on plot.
What's funny is sometimes you pull up the plot to make sure that we don't go out of order.
And it's still wrong.
And then the plot is out of order on the summary.
Yep. That happens more often than I'd like to admit.
So what happened was explosion, then media tour. That's the only really big correction.
Anyways, welcome to CityWavesCinema. I don't think we've done an intro for the last like 3 episodes.
I think I did them during Frozen Empire, but yeah, no, that's James. I'm America. I know we didn't do it for the last episode because if you're also new here, we're horrifically bad at intros.
What happened?
Bug.
What?
There was a bug.
What if you tried to kill it?
I
kill it with your hands.
Smush
it.
No.
Mash it.
No.
Get it all up in your skin.
Stop.
Your Hunger Games is just bugs.
I would take myself out.
Just put you in the arena and put bugs in there. Like 15 flies. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
They don't even need to be deadly bugs.
Moths would be worse.
Oh, yeah. They can't see. They're just flying around all random and shit.
Ugh.
Maybe we'll put like one ant.
They make nests in your ears.
You're so soft. You're capital.
I can't be... No, I'm gonna get my tongue cut out. They're not gonna leave me around the Capitol. I'm gonna be a freaking... Are they called Avoxes?
Yeah.
Nope. I knew from the minute I read The Hunger Games, I was like, oh, my ass is getting my tongue cut out. There ain't no way they're gonna let me keep talking.
Yeah, we make a habit out of talking. We make a show about it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna do well in any post-apocalyptic world.
All right, back to the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. The arena explodes.
Lucy saves Snow.
Yep.
Some more tributes die because they tried to escape or they got blown up.
One escapes, several try, and some just explode or get crushed by debris.
Lucy sings at their little media thing, gets the most donations.
Yep.
And now...
That night.
Yes.
Snow is recovered enough from his injuries that he can move about. And he goes back to the arena. Which I'm pretty sure is against the rules. And he starts sniffing around, trying to figure out what advantages he can unearth.
He now owes like a life debt to Lucy in his head, so he is determined to save her.
Yes. So he finds a tunnel underneath the arena that can be utilized, I suppose. Sees some vents that are now blown open, and that's all he does on his little reconnaissance mission is spot some stuff and then head back home where
he gets the real big brain.
Gets sad, looks down, and next to his desk he sees a rat dying next to a box of what I can only imagine is the most potent rat poison in all of the world. And he just said, what the fuck was that?
It was the bug.
There's fucking, it's like a small bird in here. It's like a hummingbird made of fury and piss.
You gave me a hard time.
Yeah, and that thing's a What kind of bug is it? It's one of them weird Texas bugs.
Filter.
God, this state's awful. So anyway, he takes his mother's compact and puts a bunch of rat poison in it, and goes and I lost it again. Goes and he's gonna give that to Lucy so that she, I don't know, has
some
sort of competitive advantage.
Yeah, because she's not. He tells her, which is smart. It's not a cornucopia yet, but the pile of weapons is a freaking
death trap.
Everyone's gonna die there. Just fucking go run and hide.
Yep, it's a run and hide maneuver, which Haymitch also advises. By the way, it's a good strategy. So he goes back to the zoo, tells her all this, and gives the compact and says, "You're gonna need to act," and tells her not to trust Jessup, who is doing bad, by the way. He is not well.
That bat bite's not doing so great.
Someone said it in our live chat earlier, but he got rabies from that bat, by the way. It's like confirmed it's rabies. He's got it. So
he doesn't know that yet, though.
Well, yeah, he probably doesn't know what rabies is. So the next day is the fucking games, baby.
Yep.
Now, they don't openly say this, but they allude to it a little bit. So I'm wondering if it's a bit of information that's actually in the book, but they don't seem prepared to do like a multi-day games.
No, I think it normally goes
like a couple hours.
Yeah, like it's over and done really quickly. I think mainly because there's not a blown up section for the arena, like underground and stuff. So they really just have that circle pit to go fight in. And yeah, that's it.
It's very, like we were talking about last episode, very gladiatorial.
Yeah, there's
nowhere to run and go to. But Snow will take his experience from these games into the future and be like, it's actually way cooler if there's a ton of places to run and hide. And then we can use witchcraft to force people out of hiding because people are bad at finding people. So yeah, they go to the games and the contestants all go in.
Bunch of people die right away.
And I mean, this is where we have just now entered chapter 2 of the movie, which is effectively the games and the immediate aftermath of the games. And then chapter 3 is like disjointed a little bit. But that's because Snow's life is disjointed a lot of it. So in the 2 days that are the games this year, a bunch of people die right off the bat. I missed it. I tried really hard. I missed it.
Hurt.
It's literally a gnat, guys, by the way. That bug is a gnat. A bunch of people die right off the bat. A small alliance exists, headed by a tribute named Coral, who is a real piece of shit.
She's what would become a career tribute.
Like, her whole existence is to win the games.
She's not right now because that's not a thing.
Yeah.
But she's basically the star.
Her attitude is very
career.
My only existence is to win the games.
And so there's the pack that's led by like basically the biggest and baddest people.
Then there's the obvious weird loner who is more than capable of killing everyone in there in Reaper, and his partner Dill, who is tuberculosis on legs, as said by Flickerman. By the way, the writing in this movie, like straight up dialogue, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really good.
So fucking funny in places that it needs to be, specifically Flickerman's dialogue. The way he talks about the tributes is
Snow's
really, really good.
Snow's too. Snow's got several good, like,
oh yeah, he's got some killer lines.
There's just lots of good lines, and
yeah.
Like James said in the dialogue, like it's actually a very well written movie.
And then there's Covey, who has Down syndrome, which is a horrible thing to think about. And then there is fucking
She lives a long time. She lives till the snakes.
Yeah, she like well, if you think about it, probably most of the tributes look at Covey and go, not a threat. So
True.
they don't prioritize killing her at all. Um, who else the fuck is there? There's Dylan Reaper.
There's
There's the kid who was Sejanus's guy,
Marcus.
Marcus. He escaped during the explosion and got made an example of because they caught his ass.
And
and
his
he is
partner.
strapped to a piece of debris, basically, and his partner. There's the one weird girl who sleeps on top of the beam.
That's his partner.
Is that his partner?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's her.
Or wait, no, because she's
some other district.
Yeah, she's with the other kid.
Yeah, and then there is Jessup, who is really doing bad. Now, there's also Lucy Greybear, who, from the moment the games start, ignores everything that she was told to do in the last hour of movie. She abandons the plan, just throws it to the wind. Like, the main priority that he drilled into her was like, ignore Jessup. Just got you can't trust him, just gotta let him go. You just leave him alone. You gotta worry about saving you. And she says no. And specifically tries to save him the whole time. And I said the girl with Down syndrome's name was Covey, but I don't think that's true. I think
no, because
the Covey is the random rambling people from District 12.
Yeah,
I gotta go figure it out. Take over.
Okay. So lots of people die. No one that we can even name or care about dies in the first little bout. Just all those other tributes that you never see. And so eventually Lucy goes and gets Jessup, and they go down the hole and they go hide for the entire night. While the pack, who again would eventually turn into what career tributes are, the pack is going around murdering everybody else. At some point, the girl who was, I don't know what district she's from, but she eventually gets a heart. She's a red-haired girl, and she goes and cuts down Marcus's body.
Yes.
Which gets her a bunch of points with the viewers.
People love that.
And what's something else to note is the audience isn't only watching the arena during this, they are watching the mentors as well, sending things to the tributes. Now, what you need to know about sending things to the tributes...
Wovey.
You were close. Is, like James said, it was slapped together in 24 hours. So they have these drones that are facial recognition drones that the mentors can use to send things to the tributes. Just kind of like we see in the other ones, except it's very rudimentary, thrown together in 24 hours. And those drones are dangerous as fuck.
Yeah, they don't work good.
Like, one dude tries to send his chick water, and it, crashes into the rock behind her and explodes. Nearly kills her. Yeah, nearly takes her head off. This is important for later, these drones. So these drones are not designed well, so sending your tributes things is almost not even worth. And we get to the next day, Jessup's doing worse. He is now distrusting of Lucy and scared.
Did you talk about how they escaped?
Yeah. I said they jump down the hole and they go hide for the night while the pack goes around and takes people out.
Cool. Yeah, I literally had to deep dive to figure out who that was.
And during this night, Sejanus, who is the worst character in the entire fucking movie.
He's not the worst character. He's the Katniss of the movie.
Yeah, you just don't like him.
He makes all the wrong decisions for all the right reasons.
So
he wants to humanize the tributes.
He doesn't want the games to exist. He hates the games, and he's going to. He made that very clear when he threw his little tablet and stormed out during the filming today.
Temper tantrum.
And then he goes to the arena at night. I feel like this arena needs to really be more well guarded.
Oh, they'd say he bribed someone.
Oh, he bribed it. Okay.
Remember, he's rich.
He is rich. He goes in, and they can see him on the feed. And Gaul cuts the feed and plays it on a loop. And she's like, if your boy screws this up, he doesn't just screw it up for you, Snow. He screws it up. Or he doesn't just screw it up for himself, he screws it up for you too. So go get him out of there. And he's like, why not send peacekeepers, all this stuff? And she's like, no. Needs to be done quietly. And if you do it, I'm going to let his father know that you did it so that he can basically pad your chances up of getting this prize. So he goes and he convinces Sejanus to get out of the arena. It takes too fucking long.
It takes effort.
It takes effort because he wanted to make a big statement, and really the only reason he goes with Snow is because the feed's cut. So his statement would be, it's not going to be effective anyways.
It would be to no one for no purpose.
Yeah, and Snow's like, you're rich. Use your money to do some good. Like, you can't do that if you're dead.
It is some grade A political manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
It is top tier. I know what you're trying to do. I dig what you're trying to do.
Do it better.
I can't help you directly, so you need to look at what you've got going on and do a better job. And I'll sort of like handhold you through that, but I'm not affiliated with you. It is pristine.
So he convinces Sejanus to come out, just not as quickly. The tributes have now found them and are chasing them down.
One catches them because they decide to go through the turnstiles instead of jumping them.
Yeah, one catches them because Sejanus is an idiot. And Snow, in a minute of pure, like, animalistic reaction, like, your instincts take over,
kills that kid
because that kid was trying to kill them. They get out before any of the other tributes can get to them.
In a moment of it's you or me, Snow says, it's me, and he kills that kid.
Yep. And which is what Gaul's going to talk to him about later. She's like, that's the point of the game. Like, that everyone, when they get in the games, is an animal. They'll kill in order to not be killed. And so she's like, it was primal, it was perfect. You performed well, basically.
He gets cut in the scuffle, and so Gaul stitches him up.
And that's where he learns some important information that about Jabberjays and how Jabberjays work. Which, if you haven't seen the original series, a Jabberjay basically can repeat back anything it hears, like a recording.
Yeah.
It just flies around, looks like a bird, and listens, and then just goes back and reports. So the next day, in the middle of the recording, not much happens. Like some other, the Hunger Games happens, but like plot wise, you don't really need to know step by step who dies when. You can watch the movie for that. So the Hunger Games are happening when we find out that the president's son has died because of the explosion, which leads Gaul to interrupt the games and say, I don't care the hows or whys. I'm going to set a rainbow like storm on to the tributes. And if we don't have a victor this year, too bad. All in response to basically quell the rebellion by
Reaper.
What?
What?
It's the rebellion by the districts for blowing up the arena.
Maybe it's a two-pronged thing, but she does it in the moment where Reaper is ripping the flag down and covering the bodies.
She did it because the president's son died.
That's what she said. You got by the propaganda machine. Look, okay.
Why can't it be both?
I think it could be both, but one is significantly less important. No one gives a shit about the president's kid. especially at a time where the capital is bored and uninterested and uncaring about the ruling class. Who gives a shit if that kid dies? No one gives a shit if that kid dies. No one cares. He's been in the ICU. They think he's going to be fine. It doesn't fucking matter. He could die and they could not find out about it for weeks. Wouldn't fucking matter. What Gaul does is takes a moment that Reaper is disassembling the ideology of the capital and the thought project behind the games. He is taking back power and making himself into a martyr, making everyone into a martyr, making them humanized to the people who are programmed to view them as animals. He is seizing power from the powers that be and demanding that they punish him for his actions to showcase that they are the barbaric people, not him, right? That's happening live. Gaul breaks into that and says, I regret to inform you, as we interrupt these extremely viewed games, that this kid no one gives a shit about died. And as such, I have decided, with all of my power, to kill all the tributes so that the rebels know they can't get away with that shit. What she says is irrelevant. What she does is stop society from humanizing the tributes. She's smart enough to recognize the sympathy that is being built. She's seen it firsthand as the students at the academy get the front row viewing to this, and they react differently the more humanizing these tributes are. She's seen it with her eyes. She needs to get people invested in the games in a barbaric way so that she can continue to have power, so that she can continue to be the way that she is. And so if she doesn't cut this off right now, all is lost. So yes, it can be both things, but the message is stop humanizing these tributes. I will kill them all. I will do it. They won't kill themselves. They won't kill themselves all down to one person. I will do it. Because the son of the president died. Whatever. What if he didn't get crushed? If he makes it out? Reaper still does all this. Then how does she stop this from happening? She can't. You could even go, because we've seen so much corruption in the political structure of this movie, you could maybe even suggest that Gaul killed that kid. Maybe he was going to recover. And Gaul used her power and her influence to make sure he didn't recover, so that she had a chess piece to use. Maybe that happens in the book. I don't know. But in this moment, she's killing a rebellion from television. And the president's son being dead is merely the vehicle. It is not the purpose of the interruption. You could run that shit on a bulletin at the bottom. It's so unimportant. She is conflating it or inflating it for no reason other than to do what she wants to do. Disrupt the functionality of the games. So what's her plan? It's to use all those fucking snakes.
I was just waiting for you to be done so that I could say that. The next plot point. So yeah, she's going to send all the snakes, and Snow recognizes this because she called them like her rainbow death or something in her back when he first got introduced to them. So he knows how they work because of the scent. So his goal is to get Lucy sent into the snake pit because he offered her his handkerchief at one point and she dabbed her tears.
So now the handkerchief has her smells.
So he's going to go shove it in the snake pit.
So the snakes don't fuck with her.
He does this in a big really stressful, almost barely inconvenience plot kind of way.
He rips his stitches out to have an excuse to go back to Gaul to get her to stitch him up again.
Because no one's supposed to know how he got those, because he was doing her a favor by getting
Sejanus out.
Sejanus out.
So he painfully rips the stitches out. She stitches him back up. He sort of like sneaks off, watches the snakes get moved to where they're going to get airlifted into the arena. No one sees as he runs up to the back of it and shoves the fucking handkerchief into the snake thing, the enclosure.
And then runs away.
Runs back. No one sees him. So maybe the least plausible thing, but it happens. And now he can just hope that it works.
Yep. So he runs back, literally runs. He comes out in there like out of breath, back to the little room where
they're doing the tribute or the mentors part of
the mentors set, I guess.
The viewing station, as you would.
Yeah. He runs in there and he's like, "What happened? What's going on? Is like Lucy okay?" And he literally gets there right as they're bringing basically the snakes in.
Yeah, they bring the snakes in. Lucy's being chased by Coral and her ilk. Has she killed?
I kind of just went.
We glazed over.
I just was like, the Hunger Games are happening. There's not really anything.
Lucy, oopsie, accidentally kills Dill, which is before Reaper does his big thing. Lucy also, very on purpose, kills one of the gang from the pack, as it's called, by basically dumping rat poison on his face, and he breathes it in and dies very quickly.
See, when I said we weren't going to talk about it, James said we're going to talk about it.
It needs to be in context for why she also goes crazy. Because she was already nuts, and she just remains haunted for the rest of the movie because of what she did.
Yeah, she
does a better
people.
job of dealing with it than what's his face, but
Snow.
Yeah, so
she killed people.
Yeah, she kills people. So she is being chased, and then everyone sort of stops as the snakes get brought in, and the big glass case gets set down, and the hovercraft flies away.
It just looks like a bunch of wriggling rainbows.
Yeah, it's
if you don't know what it is,
it's really upsetting to look at, to be honest. And then the glass shatters, and fucking Wovey, man.
Wovey came out there. She's like, "Is it over? Like, I just want it to be over.
I want it to be over." And then the glass shatters, and just a tidal wave of snakes engulfs her, and she falls over, and you're like, "Oh no!"
And then you watch all the tributes that they gave you names for.
Reaper gets absorbed by snakes.
He doesn't even fight it. He just accepts
he just lets it happen.
Everybody else kind of gets taken out one by one.
Coral begs for her life, which is like funny because
she's like, "I can't."
In what way are you going to get Lucy to help you with the 5 or 10 snakes that are currently strangling you and biting you? Like, I don't understand. What is she going to do for you right now?
She's like, "I can't have killed them for nothing."
Which was humanizing and irritating because she was a bitch the whole movie. And then she was like, "It can't be for nothing." Like, hey, fuck you, dude. You're an asshole. Wait a minute.
Yeah, you killed like 10 people. Bye-bye. So they slowly creep up on Lucy, and she just starts to sing because
all she knows is sing at snakes.
Yeah, she's trying to charm them, basically. And that's what Snow tries to play it off, too, is that the singing is charming them.
Which is plausible.
But Gaul knows it's a fucking load of shit.
It's plausible because she sang and a snake didn't fuck with her during the reaping.
Yeah.
So it's a plausible thing that an audience at large could buy. The lady who bioengineered the snakes, however,
knows that's full of shit.
Does not believe that for a second.
Well, Lucy
wins.
Yeah, she keeps singing until, like,
she spies a camera
and starts singing directly into the camera, and then she basically is pulling a Katniss and, like, inciting violence.
Yeah.
By her decision at the end of the games, to the point that Call is handcuffed into declaring her the winner.
It's
if Gaul had her way, Lucy would have died.
Oh yeah. It's kind of funny because it's running the same play twice as when Katniss and Peeta threaten to kill themselves with the berries at the end if they can't both win, and then and Snow buys it. Or
Not Snow. Seneca Crane.
Crane
Yeah.
is so Crane buys into it. So Crane gets handcuffed in the first movie the same way that fucking Gaul gets handcuffed in this movie.
Because there has
The
to be a
whole
victor.
Yeah, there has to be a victor, and the whole room of students and the mentors are all chanting "Get her out," uh, because Snow demands that she be exfilled. And so she makes a call, says "Get her out," and we jump to
Snow going to the arena.
getting congratulated and going to the arena and
To get her out.
get her out.
But she's gone.
Yep. And then he goes to collect his prize and is confronted by his professor, the dean, who is like, "You stupid motherfucker.
You cheated.
You cheated. But you're not going to be killed. You're being banished for 20 years to be a peacekeeper somewhere the fuck else from here.
Not my problem anymore."
Fuck you." And so he goes, "Okay." And he goes.
And he bribes someone to, because he's supposed to get sent to 8, and he bribes someone to go to 12.
Now, this is the point in the movie where I think people get frustrated with the pacing. Because they're going to start to say, "Oh, this all feels rushed." And it's like, yeah, this shit happens super fucking fast. This is where we get the third title card that's like, Peacekeeper. Because this is the end of the movie. It's the back third where Snow's life literally comes unraveled. And he has to fight from the bottom, the literal bottom, back to the top.
And it's not wrong that it feels rushed, but I think it's supposed to feel that way. Like
it's
a whirlwind.
It's pure chaotic whirlwind from front to back. And so he's fucking whisked away to District 12 to go through basic.
Sejanus goes with him.
Yep, Sejanus goes with him
for
reasons,
really. They kind of yada yada. Meh. Sejanus is there. That's all that matters.
Yeah, so they both end up peacekeepers. They end up in a squad together. And they're just going around doing cop stuff, basically, for a little while.
When
we get the origin of the Hanging Tree song.
Yeah, which I called. Like, I was like, what
you
if...
called it like 5 minutes in advance.
I was like, what if she's the... Like, what if Lucy writes the Hanging Tree song? Because I started singing it because there's a hanging tree. And then I started singing the lyrics, and it was literally the story that had just played out on screen. And I was like, oh, yep, Lucy's going to write the song.
Yup.
And then everything that happens in that chapter becomes a verse of the Hanging Tree song.
Which is really wild.
It's so cool. So, we find someone gets hung like the day they get there, I think.
Yeah.
For killing 3 people, and his lover, if we go based on the Hanging Tree songs, gets put in prison and will be executed shortly thereafter for basically disturbing the peace and interrupting the execution. And this hurts Sejanus's heart. It hurts his heart.
Poor little sad boy heart.
And he decides to try to help her. Despite Snow telling him to, like...
Don't do that.
Stop being an idiot. Yeah. He decides to help her, which leads to Sejanus getting involved with the rebellion. Meanwhile, on the other side of the plot, Coriolanus finds Lucy, they reunite, and they basically have this little, like, love story happening. Yeah. And that's, you don't really need to know anything else about that. They go swim in a lake, but just know that underlying this whole little rebellion, there's also this B-plot love story. Sejanus and Snow. Snow basically looks at him one day and he's like, "You've really got to stop, dude. Like, I'm catching you multiple times. You're gonna get us in fucking trouble."
Yep. They're gonna kill me because I'm vaguely associated with you.
which has almost happened once. To be fair, Snow's not speaking out of line here. He almost died once because your stupid ass was doing stupid shit. And then Snow makes an instantaneous call that is going to set in motion the rest of his life.
Yep, it is a bold maneuver.
They're working on basically getting the Jabberjays ready to ship back to the capital with any information that they've gathered during their little flyabouts. And Coriolanus learned how the Jabberjays worked, like I said, when he was in Gaul's office, because Gaul is one of the engineers of the Jabberjays. She's also what would lead to the Mockingjay and all the other weird creation hybrid animals that are basically in the capital and the districts and used in the games. He hits record on one of the Jabberjays while Sejanus is basically spilling out the whole rebellion plan. And he does it so smartly that he's being recorded is basically telling Sejanus to stop, don't do this. This is bad.
Yeah, it makes him look like a hero.
And then he stops that recording and ships it directly to Gaul.
A bold maneuver.
Then he ends up...
Gets a promotion.
Yeah, he ends up getting basically told by the head of the Peacekeepers in District 12, you're too good for this space. Go to 2, make a real living, and you have a chance at getting back at the capital.
Also, it's an order.
Yeah, also, you don't really get a say. And so he goes to... Basically, he's on a time limit of 10 days. He doesn't tell Lucy this, really. And one night, while he's listening to Lucy sing this new song about their love story... he sees Sejanus sneak off, and he follows him. And this is where things go sideways.
Things go really off the rails.
So he walks in there, sees a bunch of guns, and he's like...
Here's the players in the room, right? You've got Sejanus, who's clearly out of his mind. You've got...
Lucy's ex-boyfriend,
Billy Tope.
Who's dating the mayor's daughter.
Mayfair.
And
Spruce, who's just the guy who happens to be there.
He's just the guy that got the stuff.
He's the guy who has the stuff, right? He's your smuggler extraordinaire. Now, in the details of the plan that Sejanus was on about were different than what is happening right now.
Yeah,
Sejanus
he was
told... not under the impression that there were going to be guns or that people were going to be hurt in their exfiltration.
He basically thought they were just going to sneak out.
Yeah.
At a certain day and time.
Which is admirable to think that this wouldn't be hard or cause violence. But he gets there and there's guns and there's now a big to-do amongst these people who are dissenting and trying to escape about the fact that there are guns and they are there, right? Snow rumbles in there and is just like, what the fuck are we doing, fellas? What's this about? And
they're in the middle of arguing when Lucy runs in, and that sets
in motion a whole fuckload of shit. If Lucy never ran in there, the movie goes way different.
Yeah, well, because
Billy's still got feelings for her.
Spruce is trigger happy. He's about ready to, like, shoot anybody, and so, like, Sejanus is like, no, Snow's cool, he's with me. And then Lucy runs in there, and
Snow's like, no, she's cool, she's with me.
But it's not Snow, it's
no,
Billy.
Billy's like,
no, she's fine, she's fine. And Mayfair's like,
I'm sorry, what?
Oh, she's with you now?
And he's like, would you shut up? I'll talk about it with you later. And she's like, I will have none of this.
She's like, guess I'm gonna go run and tell Daddy. And that's basically, she's on her way out when Snow grabs the gun and
Snow shoots her in the spine.
She's dead.
Kills her immediately.
And
then Billy loses the plot entirely and gets so mad that he decides he's going to bum rush the guy with the gun. And he does not get shot by the guy with the gun. He gets shot by the other guy with the gun. And Bruce shoots him so close with the shotgun. I mean, it rips him asunder, right?
So then Sejanus is freaking the fuck out. And
Lucy... he was like, no one's supposed to get hurt. And it was like, well, you're an idiot.
And Lucy's freaking the fuck out.
Because she just watched 2 people that she knows pretty intimately get killed.
And Snow's like, Lucy, focus in. You're going to go out there.
You got to lock in with me right now, okay?
You're going to go out there. You're going to sing like nothing happened. and I will figure this out. And then he goes over to Sejanus and he's like, you need to keep it the fuck together.
Snow is literally like, he has to play damage control for a situation where he started the damage.
And the only reason he's so paranoid is because when you commit crimes, the Capitol has a way to track the DNA, basically, of whoever pulled the trigger of a gun, anything like that.
Yeah, which they mentioned earlier in the movie.
Yeah, when they were doing one of the hangings. So Snow knows if this gets investigated, he's the one that shot the mayor's daughter. It's him that'll get the fucking hang. And so
he makes Spruce take the guns to get rid of the evidence. They don't really have a way to deal with the bodies. He sends Sejanus off, and he also goes off.
He's like, we're just going to go out there, we're going to pretend like nothing happened, and no one's going to connect this to us, because the guns are gone.
Everyone scatters. Then
they find the bodies.
And so the Peacekeepers begin what I believe to be a couple-day rampage where they roll through all of 12, trying to shake down the whole district for the guns to try and figure out who killed the mayor's daughter. Right?
And at this point, Snow and Lucy are making a plan to basically do what Billy was going to do and roll out and head north, where there's land that's not owned by Pan Am.
Yeah, basically they're going to go to Canada.
Yes. So the day before they're supposed to leave, the Peacekeepers have figured out
Spruce was involved somehow.
They found Spruce. They did not find the guns, but they found Spruce. He's involved. They pulled the chick out of jail.
They're going to hang the two of them.
They're going to hang the two of them. Then they're also like,
there's one more.
Yep.
Because now everything's a spectacle.
And they hide the body for you, so the point that it's like, you know it's someone Snow knows, but is it Sejanus or Lucy that's about to get dragged through that freaking crowd? And it's Sejanus, because Snow's little Jabberjay made it back to Gaul. And he was... and they play the recording. Live.
Oh, it's disgusting.
Right before they hang him, and then he's heard crying out for his mother, and the Jabberjays pick up that sound and just repeat it.
Echo it. It's disgusting. It's one of the most disturbing portions of the film.
It's insane.
It is really... it fucks with you. I mean, there's moments like this in lots of like grisly war movies where soldiers have like their bottom half blown off and they're like crying for comfort in their mother, and you read about it in war novels and shit. And it's like, oh, this is maybe worse in some ways because it's just being blasted back in the faces of all the people, and you know, he's being hung for treason. And
he really did have a good heart. He just wanted to do some good in the world.
He just wanted to help.
He's
people.
Just stupid.
He is very dumb. So they all die.
Snow has some remorse, which is how we know he's not an entire sociopath.
He is very clearly jolted by some damaging mental strife.
Almost to the point that's like, what did you think was going to happen when you sent the Jabberjay? Like,
it really brings into question like the motive of the decision, because it's like it's sort of like a breakdown in Snow's various levels of personality, because you see moments where he is very clearly thinking about himself,
cold, and calculated,
how to save himself or how to elevate himself. It is classic Capital type behavior, right? And when he did the recording, that's the mode he was in. He wasn't looking at Sejanus like a friend. He was looking at Sejanus like, oh, you're going to get my ass killed, so we have to deal with you. And so he makes a move to deal with him. But when he has remorse about it, you got to look at him and go, now, what did you think was going to happen when you went to a Capitol official and very clearly indicated that this guy is being treasonous to the government right now? Like, did you think they would just let that shit slide, or
maybe he thought that his dad would buy him out like he does with everything else?
Yeah, but you can't buy your way out of
No,
that's the thing with every major sort of huge fascist autocracy that there is in reality or in fiction, you can buy your way out of a lot because it's always a corrupt regime. Money talks in every government, especially fascist autocracies. You can, with money and influence, buy your way out of most things. What you can't ever buy your way out of is disloyalty to the machine. They will always come for you for that because that is the only way the fascist autocracy loses, is if there are people who are not loyal to the machine. If enough people are not loyal, you cannot exert your will over them. So in these dictatorships and shit, like the scariest thing to that regime is treason. It's traitors. So they have to make examples of them. And you know, you can chalk it up to Snow being 18 and young and dumb, but like, I mean, he's intimately familiar with the government and how it works. Come on, man. You know they kill people. You know they kill people for treason. And you know you just framed your boy for it. Like, that shit was coming down the pipeline from the moment you recorded him. You had to know. Anyways, he goes after the fucking hanging in a state of stupor, basically, and goes to leave with Lucy
To the north.
to the north. So they hike out back to their cabin on the lake, and he wants to stop there, and Lucy doesn't really want to. And
Before that, though, he makes a statement that sets him forth the end of the movie, where they're talking about how awful it is that they've killed people and they just want to forget that.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, three is
3.
enough for me. And Lucy
Right.
stops. And her big thing is trust. And if she can't trust you, that's more important than love or anything else. She's like, well, I know of 2 people. Who's the third? And he's like, my old self, which is the worst line you could have ever said. Like, there were so many, you could have made a lie about, like, when you were a child. Anything would have been better than that. But
Yeah.
it sows this little spark of distrust in Lucy's heart towards Snow, and which then leads to her actions sowing seeds of doubt and distrust in her, like, for Snow.
She becomes distrustful of him and immediately slips back into her completely unhinged persona
Yeah.
and does enough odd shit to send him over the edge of madness.
Yeah, to the point that he hunts her down in the woods
With a gun.
With a gun and shoots her.
Potentially.
No, she does get hit with the bullet. We do see that. We just don't know if she dies. Because all
The
the
bullet hit a tree.
it hits her. Because she makes a noise.
She falls down.
Yeah, because it hits her.
The noise is delayed.
James is about to go rewatch this clip.
Rewatch the fucking movie.
To get the answer. This is going to be a Knight's Tale argument all over again.
If we recall correctly, I was correct then.
Anyways, all he finds of her is her earring. The Mockingjays start chanting the Hanging Tree song. Snow goes back to... He's supposed to go back
He gets bit by a snake, don't forget.
Oh, yeah. He finds his mother's wrap that Lucy laid on the ground, and...
The synopsis says he unsuccessfully tries to shoot Lucy Gray.
And gets bit by a snake. I'll... Hang on! He gets bit by a snake that Lucy had set up as a trap, which he doesn't, like, get taken care of, and I'm convinced that's what's going to kill him for the rest of his life, is this small amount of poison that's in his veins that he just has to constantly keep treating. Then he gets ready to go to District 2 to do officer training, and he gets told, nope, just kidding. You're going back to the Capitol. Gaul basically says, you passed all my tests. You're going to be my new assistant. And you're going to college. And the best friend who you had murdered, his dad's gonna pay for you to go to school.
Because he doesn't know you had his kid killed.
Yeah. And all this stuff. And then she does the whole speech about the games that we've talked about previously. And then he goes to the headmaster.
Goes to the dean.
Yeah, of his school, Peter Dinklage's character. And he goes, they have this whole conversation. And then that's when we find out that Peter Dinklage's character was he had the idea for the games.
While he was drunk.
And Snow's dad went and took it and sold it with his name on it as the idea. And which, to be fair, Peter's character doesn't want the credit.
Yeah, he's upset that all the kids die and the blood is on his hands.
Yeah, he feels responsible for all the deaths of those children.
Which he is.
Yes. And he's like, and now I'm going to continue to be responsible because
you made the games interesting again.
Yeah. And what we start to see is Snow's MO for murdering people come to play here, because he straight up just poisons. He taught Lucy how to poison, and then he straight up just poisons the dean, Peter Dinklage's character, using his drug of choice. And then that's kind of the end. We're left with the quote from future Snow, that what we love will be the death of us, which is what he says to Katniss. And yeah, that's kind of that. Now, back to the Lucy debate about whether or not this bitch is dead.
Her fate remains unknown.
Did you just did you Google the same thing that I did?
What'd you Google?
So I put, does Lucy Gray die? So in the book, Snow hunts Lucy Gray through the woods after she falls in love with him, and their romance ends abruptly. Snow shoots at her and seems to hit her, but he only finds an earring and her tracks stop mysteriously. The last he hears of her is of her voice singing through the forest, mocking jaybirds. Some fans have speculated that Lucy Gray is Katniss's ancestor, or that she became District 13's president, Alma Coin, or that she became Greasy Say. However, the director, Francis Lawrence, has said the fan theory that Lucy Gray and Katniss are related is not true. But yeah.
So she's fine.
She's probably fine.
She made it out.
Lucy's fate's Gray is never confirmed, but it's possible she was wounded or killed by a bullet. She vanishes. The end.
Yep.
I like to think she at least got shot. I like to think she got hit. But also, like, where does she go? Because, yeah, her tracks do just stop.
Up a tree.
But they didn't stop near the base of a tree. They stopped in, like, the middle of a ring of trees.
Yeah, but if you're a clever girl, and Lucy's a clever girl, you make tracks to nowhere, and then walk backwards through your own tracks till you get to a tree and climb the tree.
I will say
Snow. Which is what I almost suggested she do out loud.
Which,
and
to be fair, Snow does not look up.
Not once does he look up.
He spirals into a little bit of madness with the mockingjays singing the song. Supposedly disposes of the gun in the lake like he was going to do before he went and shot her. And goes about his life. But what's crazy is, like, he brought the fishing rod out to the lake too. Like, I think he would have gone with her if she hadn't gone all cuckoo bananas and decided that she was going to leave him.
Well, she can't trust him. And that's valid and fair. He is known to kill people.
Yeah, but...
And even if he says he's in love with you, he could kill people.
Yeah.
And if he sees you as a threat, maybe he'll kill you. And he taught you how to be a threat. So maybe he'll always be paranoid. So maybe it's better if you just fade into obscurity. Leave him to his own devices.
Do you think she became someone that we know in the original series?
No idea. I'd have to ask Suzanne Collins. You know what Suzanne Collins would tell me? I have another book coming. Just wait.
I don't think she died. Because someone had to get the rest of the verses of the Hanging Tree song back to District 12.
Yeah.
Because it becomes a District 12 folk song, and Katniss knows all the verses, and one of the verses is about Snow and Lucy meeting up at the hanging tree so that they can both flee. And that verse doesn't get passed along if Lucy doesn't go back to 12.
Yeah, she probably does go back to 12 at some point. I mean, it's not, there's nothing connecting her to any of the deaths or treason or anything. She's basically in the clear in terms of any crimes. So she could straight up go back to her life of playing the guitar at the bar, being the most famous resident of District 12, their own little winner of the games. They can have a little bit of district pride in her. Or maybe she does try to escape. And, you know, it's.
And she knows Snow's not going to do anything because if he does something, she's going to talk.
Yeah. So she can sort of just fuck off and do whatever she wants to go do. And nothing will come of it if she just leaves.
Yeah.
So she's basically as in the clear as you can possibly get in this world. And Snow, we sort of watch his descent, and like I talked about in the last episode, this movie is about Snow's descent into madness, and it really takes a sharp tick downhill at the end of this movie because things happen outside of his control. And if there's one thing Snow really likes, it's to be in control of everything at all points in time.
He likes to have all of his cards on the table.
He likes to have all his cards close to his vest.
That's true. That's the better way to say that phrase.
He doesn't put a card on the table unless he absolutely knows it's going to be the winner.
True.
He is the safe gambler and the guy who rigs the hand. So this is a good ass movie.
It was good. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, it makes me want to go read the book. It also makes me very excited to read the Haymitch story because we already know a little bit about how Haymitch won his games.
Is that book coming or is that movie coming?
The book and the movie. That they got announced on this like same day. It was crazy. Like she announced the book and like an hour later they were like, and the movie. So yes.
What's that book?
What do you got?
Sunrise on the Reaping.
I don't know.
It's not out yet. It's out in 2025.
Maybe it's
that could be the Haymitch book, but look at the decor. There's a songbird and a snake. It's different than the regular logo, though. I don't know. I just went to see if I could get the book, and there's a bunch of other shit in there.
We'll have to go find out what Sunrise on the Reaping is. But this is not a book podcast. This is a movie podcast, and we're done talking about the movie now. What's your rating, James?
I'll give this a 8.5 out of 10. Remarkable storytelling. All the actors,
killer acting.
The actors all did a tremendous job.
They acted way too hard for a Hunger Games movie.
The script was good. The storytelling was good. The visuals were great. Shots of the Capitol were like you green screened it, but like they did a good job.
Lucy, the actress, can sing her ass off.
Rachel Ziegler, she is quite good. You know, I don't know why so many people are dragging the movie in ratings online. That doesn't make sense to me. I've watched a lot of movies that are a lot worse than this movie that have been rated way higher. So I don't know.
Was Ghostbusters rated higher?
Oh, I can't imagine.
Because I'm going to be upset because Frozen Empire was shit.
Yeah, that was a bad movie. Hold on.
Wasn't even bad. The problem was that movie was nothing. Like, it wasn't good or bad. Cats is a bad movie. But at least, like...
The Frozen Empire was rated rather close.
Okay.
6.5 to 6.1.
Okay.
So...
At least it wasn't rated better.
It's...
I don't think it deserves to be the same.
In terms of movies that have come out in the last couple of years, that one's good. That one's real good.
Yeah, I really liked it.
I recommend you watch it. You can stream it now on Stars if you have Stars. Otherwise, buy physical media because, goddammit, you need to.
Or you can rent it from Amazon.
Yeah, you could do that. Or you could buy physical media. More people need to buy physical media.
I just left it on. You should buy physical media.
Okay.
Mainly because I didn't know you were going to continue after that point. Alrighty. Well, Iron Giant next time. Animated. Apparently Vin Diesel. Who knew?
Sunrise on the Reaping is Hamish's story.
Yes. Very excited. Will what's her name be alive? Is Gaul responsible?
Doubt.
Probably not. She's probably dead. But I don't know. Hamish lives for till he's like fucking. He's still like, or not Hamish. Snow is still like prancing around at 70 something. So. Like I said, the math doesn't math for me. That's the only complaint I have about this movie is the math does not fucking math.
I can get this book for $15.
Yeah.
Well, it's 45% off. That's why.
It's also a children's book. They're not that expensive.
$28.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about how much I had to spend on like the original Harry Potter releases.
Woof.
I went to like the midnight release of the books back in the day.
Midnight release of the books?
Oh yeah, you'd go wait in line at like Walmart, Barnes and Noble and shit the night that the book was supposed to come out so that you could buy it first so that you could read it before anyone else. I did it for Hungry or
528 pages. Wow.
I did it for Harry Potter and Twilight. When Breaking Dawn was I went to the Breaking Dawn release party. And I've been to the last 3 Harry Potter
Should I buy it?
release parties. Yeah,
What?
shut up. No, you see? Bree went to Breaking Dawn with Twilight. I went in a corset with a red tank top, and I drew a bite mark on my shoulder, and it said, I love JH on it for Jasper Hale. And then I went to Barnes & Noble at like 10 o'clock at night with my best friend. And this someone had to drive me too, because this was before I could drive, because I was in middle school.
I can't say any of the things I want to say on YouTube.
You guys also missed the visual of James just staring at me. Oh, there was a whole costume contest at Barnes & Noble. Or it might have even been Borders at the time. But yeah, no, there was a whole costume contest. No, then it was Barnes & Noble. Yeah, it was the Barnes & Noble near Chapel Hills. Fun times. I'm gonna go now before I say more shit I regret.